I'd like to go ahead now and introduce you all. And so Seth, when you're ready, you can go ahead and launch your PowerPoint. But I would like to introduce you to Seth Sattler, who's our program today. And Seth is the Chief Compliance Officer at Digital Mint. It's a cryptocurrency point of sale operator and a ransomware liquidity provider. And if you don't know what that is, you're not alone, but he's going to tell us everything that we need to know. He is an anti-money laundering specialist. He earned that certification in 2016, and he worked in anti-money laundering at Huntington National Bank for a while. He co-founded the Cryptocurrency Compliance Cooperative, which is the collaborative association that advocates for universally accepted compliance standards within the cash to cryptocurrency industry. So I know he's going to share some really good stuff with us today and tell you a little bit more about himself. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to pass it on over to you, Seth. And thank you for being here, and go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. I'm actually just Googling how long it takes to get to Hofbräu House because I want to virtually ride a horse. So
if you leave after the meeting, you can still make it while we're there tonight.
Yes, step 1, buy car. Step 2, drive to Ohio. But no, I do appreciate you guys having me. Like Dana said, I'm the Chief Compliance Officer at Digital Mint. So we are a cash to crypto company. I used to live in Columbus, Ohio. So I think that's probably the most pertinent qualification. I worked at Huntington Bank. But real quick, this working? There we go. So yeah, I work for Digital Mint. We're a cash to crypto company. We have about 1,000 ATMs around the country. You'll probably have seen a few. We have some in Columbus and around Cleveland and those areas. We do also provide liquidity for ransomware. So what that means is if you find yourself in a situation where you've been hacked and you need to pay a ransom to a hacker, we actually source the cryptocurrency for you, and then we do the de-risking measures to make sure that paying the ransom doesn't violate any regulatory landscapes around not only the US, but around the globe. And then we go ahead and work with law enforcement. On top of that, and this is kind of what we're going to talk about today, is we are responsible for, in the past 2 years, preventing about 500 fraud attempts. Eric, who's my program oversight guy, is actually on the call, so he can almost speak more about this than I can. But in kind of on top of that, we've returned a little over $6 million back to fraud victims since early 2020. So when we talk about how to detect fraud today, we have a pretty good understanding of it. But I kind of want to jump into just what crypto is. And if you guys have questions, I have the chat up, so feel free just to shoot them my way. But I want to jump into kind of what crypto is and isn't, to just break down some preconceived notions about how cryptocurrency works and what it is and kind of what it means when you hear about it. So we always joke, crypto, not a real kind of physical coin. The pictures there on the right are the pictures you will always see on every news article of all time. But that's not what crypto is. Crypto is a kind of a virtual currency, but it only exists online. So it exists in a string of letters and numbers. Typically, they're alphanumeric, starting with a 1 or a 3 for Bitcoin, starting with an L for Litecoin, etc. But the wallets are typically represented by a QR code. And I believe Detroit Free Press just put out why that lends itself to fraud, which we'll get into in a bit. But because Bitcoin is represented by a QR code, and Litecoin, Ethereum, and all these are represented by QR codes, it means scammers can send QR codes to victims and have them just send money there. So how crypto works is you present this QR code to an ATM, and you can just basically put cash in, and it will try to send the Bitcoin there. So if you don't own that wallet, the money is kind of just where it is. It could be overseas in a scammer's wallet. It could be sent to the wrong place. But that's kind of why it lends itself to fraud. It's not new. It was created. Bitcoin itself was created in 2008. The technology, kind of cryptography, was invented even before that, and it's not dead. A much easier point to prove a few months ago when Bitcoin was at $60,000, but it's still growing in popularity. A lot of major banks, PayPal just announced they are integrating with it. Fidelity, JP Morgan, etc. So all of these companies are utilizing, in some capacity, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all these currencies for their business operations, for their investment vehicles. So it's not going anywhere. which is why I think having these conversations now are important, because you will still come across this for years to come. It's not anonymous. We'll talk about that on the next slide. That's my favorite misnomer about crypto, is that it's fully anonymous. It is untraceable. It means that if you're a criminal trying to hide your money through crypto and you believe these two statements, it makes my job and Eric's job much easier to go catch you. It makes working with law enforcement much easier. But yeah, so these are incredibly traceable coins. So you can right now go back to and see the first Bitcoin transfer of all time on the blockchain. You won't know who sent it to where, but you'll be able to track it very quickly from point A to point B. And because, like Digital Mint, we are all registered similar to a bank and similar to Western Union, similar to check cashers on the local street, we're registered with the government. We're required to collect ID for transactions. So is Coinbase, so is Gemini, so is Robinhood. So by kind of knowing that it went from point A to point B, you know that point A is Coinbase and point B is Gemini. Law enforcement will be able to tell you kind of where that transaction went. It's not just used for crime, which I know the news articles that you see every day kind of suggest it is, but there are a lot of legitimate uses. It's not even the best option for crime still. The US dollar is laundered much more or in much higher volume than Bitcoin is right now. And it's not the reason for illicit or fraudulent typologies. Aside from ransomware and the dark web marketplaces, which still used to have wires and different types of transfers for it, romance fraud, money mule fraud, all of these things that we're going to talk about weren't created because of crypto. It was just Bitcoin was the next great thing. So everything kind of migrated over there. But yeah, so just keep that in mind, especially if you're trying to figure out how to detect some of this activity, or if something's too good to be true. Go back to fraud that you heard about in the 90s and the early 2000s with PayPal and email scams, etc., and just apply crypto on top, and you should be able to detect it and identify it pretty quickly. There we go. Again, not only for bad things. So there are legitimate uses. It is a good, relatively good way to diversify your investment portfolio. So the graph on the right is actually when I started at Digital Mint. Today's my 5-year anniversary. So I was not this gray when I started. And to August of this year. So even though crypto's gone massively up and back down, still not the worst investment if you had done it when I started. So if you do it now, there's a chance it will double in price again. So it still does offer an investment opportunity potentially. It does offer a way for individuals to basically become their own bank, because while it exists on your phone or on a flash drive, what you can theoretically do is save money without a bank being involved. You can remit money over to a friend. You can pay for things, all of that without having to deal with a traditional financial institution, which if you're an underbanked or underserved community, it allows you to kind of operate your own financial institution inside of your own phone. Stable coins, this is actually one of the coolest things I've seen. Right now, stable coins, which are tied to the US dollar or tied to a currency. So at any moment, one coin equals $1, are being used in Venezuela, Argentina, and other places with hyperinflation to stabilize the currency of individuals. So what they're doing, they're being paid in local currency, converting it to USDT or these stable coins, and then using it so when the next day their currency goes massively up or down, it doesn't impact their savings. They still have it tied to the US dollar. When they need to pay something, they'll just convert it back into local currency to pay. So it's helping to address with hyperinflation. Donations during the Russian invasion, there was a large scale donation effort through Bitcoin. It was anonymous. So what people were seeing was they were seeing Russian locals actually donate to Ukraine using crypto, but in a way that Russia wouldn't know that they were donating to Ukraine. We were seeing individuals in the US try to donate quickly to the Red Cross and the Ukrainian government. So that's used for donations. And there's new use cases every single day. I think Starbucks announced they might start accepting Bitcoin in the near future. Tesla does, travel websites, all of these different places. So it's growing every day. we're going to run through this very quickly, but not all cryptocurrency companies exist in the same capacity. Exchanges are similar to banks in the way that they hold on to your coins. They allow you to deposit money, convert it into a currency, either Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., and then kind of hold it on that platform. When you're dealing with the Coinbases and the Geminis of the world and the Binance USs and all of those, it's safe, it's secure. I think you all saw the commercials over the Super Bowl. They're massive companies, but then you do run the risk of something happening like what you just saw with Terra or Celsius, where the company goes under and coins are either lost or it turns out to be fraud. But if they're a US-based exchange and they've been around for a while, most likely you're in good shape. If you look at the graph on the right, that's the average transaction volume of the 3 largest exchanges. It's billions and billions and billions of dollars every day running through these exchanges. Legacy companies have converted themselves over to cryptocurrency companies. They want to partake in some of the fun. So some of the largest crypto companies right now are Square, Robinhood, Venmo. If you actually look at Robinhood's profit reports from 2021, crypto and specifically Dogecoin was a large amount of their revenue stream. So they are heavily involved now in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And then there's Bitcoin ATMs. So there are 30,000 of these ATMs around the country. Digital Mint has 1,000, so we're pretty small. But yeah, there are 30,000 right now, or as of June. I think there's 38,000 as of today, and 1,000 more API locations. So what this means is you can walk into a CVS or a Rite Aid or a Walgreens or a Coinstar machine and use your local US dollars to convert it into crypto. So there are a lot of different ways now to buy crypto. It's not just go on Coinbase. It's not just go to the ATM. It's go through Square, Robinhood. I think Fidelity now has an integration with Coinbase. So there's a bunch of different ways. But like I said, if you guys have questions, feel free to just throw them into the chat. This is more for law enforcement and banks, but I want to leave this slide in here for 2 reasons. One, know that we as a company can track Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's very hard to track like Monero and privacy coins. We pay a large amount of money to these vendors to do so, but we are trying our best to keep the ecosystem safe. What I would always recommend is if you're buying crypto, I always say in the most annoying way, but the way that has the most controls up front. Those are the companies that are going to be doing it the right way the longest. So Gemini, Coinbase, Digital Mint, we all have IDs on file at the beginning. We all have an onboarding process. We will reach out to you and ask you questions about if we believe you're exhibiting fraud flags. So it might seem annoying, but it means that we're trying actively to prevent fraud, and we're trying to protect you as a user. Is there a reporting requirement? There is. So we file SARs, CTRs, etc. For every suspicious transaction. At one point, Digital Mint was a statistically significant portion, actually, of those reports back when we first got started. But yeah, so we file all of those. Eric, who's on the call, actually QCs every single one and make sure they're filed accurately. But so great question. At the bottom, kind of a cool thing. So the graph on the left is Chainalysis. We're very close with their kind of entire organization. They just testified on Congress about this. This is actually them tracking the money for the Bitfinex hack, which was one of the largest seizures of all time. It's in the billions of dollars they were able to get back from fraud. And then on the right, that's actually TRM, another company that tracks crypto that we're close with. And that's the dark side Colonial Pipeline hack and how they were able to get the money back. So when you heard about on the news about these hackers that stole all this money or took all this money from Colonial Pipeline to do a payment, and then they were able to find the money in a wallet and retrieve some of it. That's actually the graph that they used to do so and where they found the money. So it's kind of cool concepts, but we all use those tools. So now into the fun. I glanced over the Shakespearean reference there, but I want to give everyone a relatively good idea. I know we're speed running through this of what frauds exist right now that we're seeing a lot of that you might see and someone might try to take advantage of either you or someone you know that might end up in a sticky situation. So just give you red flags of what these look like. Share them with the community. Send them my way if you have other questions about these. But I want to give you high level things to look out for when it comes to cryptocurrency fraud. So the first one is money mules, and it seems like a fraud at first, but the problem is money mules right now. We are required to report as suspects. So if you end up in this fraud, you're no longer a victim. You are participating in the actual fraud itself, and we have to report you as a suspect. And from what I've heard, law enforcement has a warm heart, understand that people are victims of this, but there is a chance that you can end up on the wrong side. So what money mules are is they are individuals that are sent illicit funds, and they're responsible for laundering this money on behalf of the scammer, and to send it back to the scammer as kind of legal proceeds or as something that is no longer attributed to the original fraud. So what we're seeing is we are seeing romance scam victims who are sent money by their loved ones and asked to send it back overseas for some purpose, whether it's payroll or anything else. We're seeing individuals apply for legitimate jobs or illegitimate jobs on legitimate job boards. So Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn, etc. These jobs are for being a personal assistant or an investment advisor or a secret shopper. So if you ever are, or if anyone you know, whether it's a child or a friend or a friend's friend or etc., applies for a job that has some crypto component, and the only aspect of that job is you are told to open a bank account or receive funds in the mail or receive ACH deposits into your bank account, and then you are told to convert it back to crypto, that alone should be a red flag. And I would walk away from that job. But if you look away at the right-hand side, that's a job posting, compliments of Reddit. If you ever want to understand what's going on in the crypto sphere, Reddit is your best source. But that's a job scam. And what that is as an individual saying, I will send you money. You are a secret shopper. You are going to go find Bitcoin ATMs around your city at Walmart's, and you are put the money in, send me most of it back, take some off the top for yourself because it's payment, and then fill out a survey. But really what it is actually scammers that are having their romance scam victims send money to their job scam victims who are then laundering the money back to the original scammer. We applied for not this job, but a different job. We didn't get it. So my resume wasn't up to snub to fall for a romance scam or for a job scam. But I did get far enough along in one of these to know that they are sending out NDAs, background check forms, employment contracts. So not only are they using you to launder their money, but they are also stealing your social security number and your ID and your bank information through these forms. So again, be very diligent if you or anyone you know is applying for a job in crypto. Look at the company, look at the registration, look at how long they've been around, the C-suite, the management, all of that to make sure they're legitimate, because these things are prevalent. We stop about 50 of these a month just from individuals that have either applied for a job or fallen for a romance scam and are being sent money to then send back. Does anyone remember the Matt Damon commercial during the Super Bowl where he said, "Fortune favors the bold"? Yes, but what we're going to look at is investment fraud, which is the largest fraud we are seeing right now, because kind of Matt Damon. So what happened was these commercials came out and said, now is the perfect time to invest in crypto. And now is the absolute best time to make as much profit as possible. And then Coinbase came out and said, it's crypto winter, the price has gone down, but don't worry, you're still going to make money, or you're still fine, your funds are safe. And then you heard about the Dogecoin and GameStop meme aspect, and it was social media and a Reddit thread convinced a lot of people to invest in something, and all of them made a lot of money. So you had all these things where it was social media and celebrities and like forums and WhatsApp and Telegram and all these different aspects that have legitimate kind of components to a story. And then you had fraud and scammers take advantage of that and create fake versions. but still parlaying the real stories that you heard on the news. So these individuals are reaching out to people either through social media by posting comments, WhatsApp. So if you have WhatsApp on your phone, you will immediately probably get a text from someone saying, hey, join my Bitcoin investment group, or through wrong number text, which we'll get to an example in a second. But they are very straight to the point and very blunt about what they're doing. So if you look to the right, that is a WhatsApp text that I got out of the blue, that just says, hey, now's the perfect time to get in. Join my WhatsApp group and I'll give you investment advice. And it has a Santa emoji, so I almost did it because I trust anything with the Santa emoji. But like, you will get these within minutes of downloading WhatsApp or Telegram or Discord. So never, if anyone randomly texts you a group on WhatsApp, never join it. And if you're looking for investment advice on crypto, CoinDesk or any of the blogs from all the major reputable sites, social media and WhatsApp, probably not your best bet. But the second one down there is actually a review on FTX. So the company that right now owns the naming rights for the Miami Heat Stadium, someone, a scammer, posted a review for FTX saying, I made money in crypto, join my WhatsApp group. And because it's on FTX, it looks like it's an endorsement by that website. It's not. They actively have a team that takes down these reports on a daily basis. But again, you will see these on just about every crypto company right now. How to detect them? They promise a large ROI on a continuous basis. When one website shuts down, they just recreate it with basically the same verbiage. They're poorly designed logos. It looks like a software apps class from high school create an investment site. The links don't work. The reviews don't go to anything. The Facebook is tied to a different company's Facebook. They will not change the company name if they copy and paste it from a legitimate company. All these things that kind of, you'll see it's just a very poorly designed website. You will almost always see customer testimonials from around the world that shows, hey, so-and-so, Jim from Germany just made $5,000, and Stephen from New Mexico made $8,000. And they would just keep showing up different places around the world, different individuals, different stock photos, showing you how much money someone made to try to get your purchase. Stock images are often used. So if you click the management page or the images used throughout the website and just reverse image search through Google, you will see their stock images, or they're used on hundreds and hundreds of other websites. And then last, they will kind of have a thing where it says, if you deposit $10, we will give you $10 back. If you deposit $1,000, we will give you $1,500 back. If you deposit $10,000, we'll give you $50,000 back. So the more you deposit, the larger the ROI, and then the larger or the shorter the time frame actually to get you the money. That's not how investment works. That's how pyramid schemes and Ponzi schemes work. But that's not how legitimate investment services work. And then on top of that, you'll kind of see, and Eric will be able to send you a lot of examples of these. They don't actually line up. So it'll be like gold is the lowest amount, and then platinum's the second highest, and then it'll be like silver's the third highest. Or gold and silver will be the exact same information. So when you look at these, they're not like chronologically or sequentially in order at all. It's just a string of it kind of how much money you want to deposit. We'll take it, and we will show you accounts that have that amount in it, so you believe that we're actually doing what we say. But I don't know how much time I have, but I think like 10 minutes. Am I right on that? I'm gonna say 10 minutes.
Yes, you do have 10 minutes.
Yes. I'm trying to keep a timer there, and it stopped. And I was like, all right, well, I'll guess. All right, so we're going to talk about the best scam victim of all time, me. So you probably have heard about pig butchering scam. I hate the vernacular used online, where it's a romance scam turns into an investment scam, turns into someone losing their entire net worth. And they're awful to see. And then you'll hear so-and-so individual in Montana lost $20,000 to an investment scam, or someone in Michigan lost 80,000. But you never actually see how they get off the ground and what they look like and how the communication works. I wanted to change that. So this is me playing ball, I guess, with a scammer, to give everyone on this call an idea of what these look like from the inside looking out. So randomly, I got a text that says, knock, knock, when we going shopping? Immediately knew it was a scam because no one sends that text and it's a wrong number. And I have a DC area code, and it was just a mess of a situation. I was like, sorry, who is this? And they asked for Linda. And working with law enforcement, they basically will always tell you never to reply. So I would not recommend doing this because it shows that you have an active number. But they also tell you that if you act like a normal person, they will believe that you can be defrauded quicker. So I just went, this isn't Linda. And then they asked for my name, which isn't how the world works. So if I text the wrong number and someone says this is the wrong number, which I've done before, I don't go, oh, sorry, well, who is this? Maybe we should hang out. But they did. So I gave them my fake WhatsApp and my fake LinkedIn and my name, and went with it. So I am Sam Tillman. And Sam and Aaron got talking. Very quickly after, they wanted us to go to WhatsApp. And the reason for this is they bought a phone number. They are overseas most likely, and they are now basically responsible for international texting rates through these scams. So they want to quickly move to WhatsApp because by moving to WhatsApp, they can now talk for free on a web-based platform. If I was a worse person and actually wanted to kind of waste their time and money and not figure out how this works, I would just kept texting them because it would have been funny to waste their money. But I wanted to know how it works. So they gave me the excuse that their phone batteries low and they want to talk on the computer. I guess that's an easier option than just charging your phone. But so we went to WhatsApp, and what you'll see, first red flag outside of them asking for my name and moving to WhatsApp, is the WhatsApp number and the phone number are very different phone numbers, different area codes, etc. So they're using spoofed accounts on WhatsApp, and then just a phone number in roughly the same area code as the where my area code is. So about 20 messages in on WhatsApp, me and Aaron were off to the races. Our relationship was really blossoming at this point. She told me that she made a appointment with an analyst talking about short-term futures. And then she sent me a screenshot of her making about $80,000 in 10 minutes, which are legitimate trades. So we tracked a few, not from this picture, but from a different picture. They are actually legitimate trades, but not anything like this. I believe they were Binance hot wallet. So they were a major exchange, basically trading for themselves to then make money because they are a exchange that can do that. So they were using real transactions. So if I was to check those on the blockchain, I would see that. But they definitely weren't the scammer doing these trades. I was actually sitting with my buddy who has a business degree when this came in. So the only reason I left this is because it's funny. I asked what this is, and they said it's short-term futures. And I said, what is that? And they go, it's simple. It's just buy long or short. And I asked my buddy why he has a business degree, because it's simple, just buy long and short. But again, this is them trying to get me to invest by showing how much money they made, how quickly. Again, nothing makes that much profit that quickly. But they asked if I wanted to talk to the analyst. And I said, sure. And his name is Miklos. And then I asked for his last name. And she says, I can't penetrate that much or more information for you. And for the life of us, we can't figure out what word they were going for. But clearly it's a Google Translate issue where it might have been disclosed or something, but they were just typed into Google Translate and that's what came up. So just like the Nigerian print schemes that you used to see, now just on the investment side, you're seeing bad English being used, words that theoretically fit the conversation but aren't used commonly in that way. So similar bad punctuation, etc. I want to know if Miklos is also in DC because Sam Tillman is from DC. No, he's in the affluent part of Manhattan. Don't know where the non-affluent part of Manhattan is. But then I also asked how long they know each other, and it was 3 years. I thought it was going to be a lot longer, but again, this is all to get me to talk to the next phase. So it started as a random number text, moved to WhatsApp, moved to investment, and now it's sending me off to this analyst who knows everything there is to know about short-term trading. So I deleted the analyst messages because of time, but the analyst sent me a bunch of things, basically telling me how this works poorly. And it asked me to go to dcexx.vip. DCEX is a real website. It's an exchange. It's overseas primarily, but it is a legitimate registered exchange. DCEXX.vip is not. When you go to that website, it brings you to DCEX. And when you Google DCEXX, it, because it's Google, assumes you're trying to go to DCEX. So what they're trying to do is convince you to go to this website, and then when you try to validate online, Google will primarily say it's a valid website because it's correcting you to the real exchange. I went to the fake one. And like I said, they use terrible common verbiage that no one's ever used. And I recommend if anyone ever sends you a fake investment or investment site, do this. I just copy the first thing that looked like someone wrote it using every buzzword and put it into Google. And I found 233 websites using the exact same like verbiage and the exact same information, the exact same pictures, which means this individual, this scammer, has 233 versions of this website that they can use if this one gets shut down. And when you go to them, they all look very, very similar. If you go through these, so at the bottom you have Webull.vip with an extra L. Webull is a legitimate investment site that people use. So if you type in Webull.vip, it will take you to the real Webull. And then if they send you this link and say, well, this is our secret ROI inducing version, you might assume it's associated to the real Webull. The top right is Circle, who was just speaking to our nation's government about stablecoins and things. So they're mimicking Circle's website. So if you Google circle.vip, it will take you to normal Circle because it assumes you're not trying to get to this fake website. But then you'll see down here, 500 customers, 10,000 trusted users. Don't know how you have more users than happy clients. So I guess 5,000 were unhappy. But I don't know how this works. But as you go, you'll see more and more information being asked from you and more promises of ROI. Just for comedy, I sent them all back to the scammer. To this point, we knew everything we needed to know. And he asked if I was looking to make trouble. I said yes. But what you'll see is, so here's all the different websites that you'll see. Go and run through this because this is important for businesses. I know I'm going to run out of time, so reach out to me about this. But ransomware is not going anywhere. Like I said, we're by business model company. Ransomware, we're seeing more and more attacks every month. There was a slight pause because a lot of the hackers were actually in the Ukrainian Donbas region, and they had to actually up and move during the start of the war. So there was a lag, but they are coming back in full force. Anywhere from Fortune 500 companies to municipalities to schools to hospitals, and then small businesses. So the best advice I can ever give anyone is just cybersecurity and education. Hire someone to look at your cybersecurity program. Hire someone to look through your safeguards and controls and just make sure they work. And then educate your employees. So two-factor authentication, vital. No one can hack your account theoretically. But it's just the easiest and most kind of productive way to safeguard. Teach employees about phishing. Send fake phishing emails. Huntington used to do this to me a lot. Send fake phishing emails. And if employees don't report them as phishing, educate them on the red flags. Right now, phishing and texting emails are one of the main ways people are getting ransomed and hacked. And then have known communication channels between your employees. So know that that the CEO will never reach or out to a low-level employee about something. Know that your year-end bonus will never come through a link. that you will never get an invoice as an attachment. Things like that, where if people know how things are going to be conveyed to them, they will know if it's different than the expected result or anticipated result, and they will hopefully not fall for it. Know what you need to do before you need to do it. We recommend talking to an incident response firm. Reach out to your local FBI field office if you want to understand what to do if you get ransomed. They are typically very cooperative with local businesses on kind of understanding how to report it, etc. They will even come into your office, from what I've heard, and talk to you in private without drawing attention about these. Talk to your insurance companies as well about cybersecurity insurance and what to do if you get hacked. And then if you do get hacked, and I hope this never happens to anyone here, go to a company that is known for paying ransom. So I will obviously plug Digital Mint because I work for there, but there are a bunch of companies that this is our business model. And the reason it's our business model is we understand the sanctions risk, dealing with Russia hackers. We understand the filing requirements. We understand how law enforcement replies to these types of things. So make sure you go to a company that is reputable and known to sell crypto for these purposes. And then include your financial institution early and often. So crypto right now is in a gray area. So oftentimes banks will reject large scale transactions to a cryptocurrency company because they're not sure what's going on. If you're up against the clock and your bank says, sorry, we can't send it for another couple hours because you didn't tell us and we have to do our due diligence, that's time wasted and time you probably don't have. So the second you are getting ransomed, let your bank know and tell them you might have to pay. But yeah, so with that, I know I went a bit over. If you have questions for me, there's my email. If you want to talk to someone local, Eric, who I did not tell him I was putting his email on this, is available as well. So feel free. But I know I went a bit over. Can you pause for questions? Oh no, that was 5 minutes ago. I can now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so thank you, Seth. That was awesome. And I just wanted to give maybe a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions for Seth or for Eric.
I'm going to take silence as I nailed that. And I'm happy to share this PowerPoint as well.
Okay, so thank you, Seth. And Eric, you are welcome to come anytime we're in person too. So this was just very fortuitous that this month we are not able to meet at our normal meeting place. So we appreciate having you on here on Zoom. And Eric, as always, you're invited, and I'm going to send you information on our October 24th social so we can meet you. Thank you again, Seth. That was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.